And we're live.
So what was that?
Nothing. I don't know.
Nothing.
I didn't see anything.
No, are you sure?
Just a quick intro video to our guests today.
Very cool, quick intro, honestly. So what was it? You're surfing a bin?
Well, we found a bin.
On wheels.
Big bin on wheels.
Yeah.
One night in Northbridge, and at that moment it seemed most appropriate to treat it like a skateboard.
Well, that's a really good skateboard. Except that, like, right at the end, you're like, "Oh shit, get off!" Like,
Yeah, I really did see my life flash before my eyes for 1 second.
yeah, I thought you were gonna hit the car. Like,
Yeah, with the bitumen just sort of like racing underneath you, you know.
so tonight, episode 136, Mitch.
Correct.
136.
I don't know why you had to ask me that, because literally I just asked him like 3 minutes ago what episode number
I
it was.
just say it, just cause I say it all the time. So Henry, nice to have you on. So Henry Boles, the founder and creator of Nest FM, and also like absolute superstar by the sounds of it. So
Yeah, infamy is painful, believe me.
so I mean, I say, you know, who are you, what do you do, but let's swap it up. So like, how did you get into Nest FM? How did you get into music? Like, you know, what drove you to run like one of the biggest queer parties in Perth? Like, you know?
I think like starting with the relationship to music is a good place because that's what it's rooted in at its core, I think. I guess I like my earliest memories of music are like my mum forcing me to learn to play piano at age 4.
Well, that's not a bad thing though. Like,
well, I didn't remember. I don't know how now, but it's deep in the archives.
It's ingrained. Yeah.
We've had a fair release like before I die, hopefully. And then like my teenage cousin buying me a copy of Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. And then,
like on CD.
Yeah, and it was the first time. It's my earliest memory of a CD, you know, and just having this moment of like putting it into the player, dancing, like experiousing music.
Did you have like a Walkman as well?
Of course, yeah. This came shortly after.
So you just walk around, strut your stuff.
Yes,
Teenage Dirtbag.
well, Teenage Dirtbag probably got scratched by that point, as they did.
Yeah.
But then I got the Tarzan soundtrack, so it was all what's his name? The guy does the Tarzan soundtrack. Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
It's
Oh,
all Phil
really? He
Collins.
did Phil Collins. No,
Yeah.
Phil Collins did that. No.
Tarzan did Phil Collins.
Wow.
Phil Collins, yeah.
yeah. No way though. Okay. Can we pull that up? What songs are on that?
Ta-da, man, oh, man. That's
We're back
it.
to the-
Speaking of
Instagram.
Tarzan, lift your spirits out and free. What's this track?
See, it's gone off again.
You have to mute it. Wait, just mute the audio.
I'll
'cause
just
it-
get rid of it. How about
yeah, all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
Phil
Yeah,
Collins.
we've seen it twice, 3 times now.
Can we watch it again?
One more.
What am I
time.
searching again? Phil Collins. What was it for?
Tarzan soundtrack.
Tarzan soundtrack. But it's Son of Man is the name of the track.
Son of Man. Okay.
I mean, Phil Collins is so dramatic, you know. I guess it's like these drums and you know, it's like really paved the way. Actually, now that I'm thinking about
Well,
it.
he's an absolute superstar. So, so what happened after that? So, like, you got the Tarzan CD.
Then
and
it got all a bit spectrumy, I would say.
Okay.
Like I've discovered Rage, obviously, as many young so-called Australians are.
So-called Australians.
Yeah, we get into the colonial background of this great land, so I was watching Rage, and it became like slightly Aspergersly obsessed with the countdown aspect. So it was like 6 a.m. alarm every Saturday, get up, 50 to 1, watch it.
Really?
I used to get some pocket money, $10 that my mother would give me, and I'd go to Sanity and buy 2 CD singles, and then I would come home and make these graphs, these like tables that would be a replica of the ARIA charts table. So it would read this week, last week, times in, highest position, record name, artist, and label.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then for that
That's
Saturday
dedication,
morning,
yeah.
I would chart the imagined journey of these 2 CD singles through the charts over the next year. So each week I would draw up 52 charts and write like song the sales, I guess. Weird, how weird.
How old were you when you doing this?
Like 9, 10, 11, I reckon.
I don't
That's
think
like
it's that weird. When I was
no,
younger,
it's not weird. No,
I used to like fake making bus timetables.
no,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just fun, you know.
There's all the things in the world to get interested in charts, you know?
Well, it just sounds like it's like the pathway to being like, you know, a music business analyst.
Or
kind of thing.
big data, maybe.
That's it, yeah.
But my mum essentially was very concerned, like just like as I would lock myself in my room for like we'd get home at 1 p.m. and I'd be there till 8 p.m. just
Really?
charting. Yeah.
Still, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I always like had this like really obsession with music always. And then I guess I was just like some trashy pop teenager like anyone else.
Because
And
you grew up in Perth, right?
no, I grew up in Port Augusta.
Port Augusta.
Yeah, it's like a town in
Oh, so Augusta or no?
no, it's in South Australia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like 400 k's northeast of Adelaide.
Yeah. Wow.
Big coal mining power center, kind of industrial, blue collar, rough as guts energy. But love it. I realized I've gotten older. All the best parts of me are because I come from Port Augusta.
Oh wow. Okay. That's good though. That's really good though.
Yeah. I'm going back there soon, and I am looking forward to like going back there as a fully formed adult and artist, and being able to like maybe make peace with some of the shit that happened in my childhood. Stop writing bins down.
Yeah,
thingy.
that's it. Yeah. Well, how old were you when you moved out? All right.
I was 15.
15, really?
Yeah, I
And
went to
then
boarding school.
Okay.
And
over here or
no, in Adelaide.
Okay. Yeah.
And got a scholarship.
So how did that progress to over here? Like,
Well, it's a long journey. So like then finished school, went overseas, moved to Melbourne. I was kicking around with like lots of the neo jazz soul kind of world in Northcote at that time in your like 2011s and 12s. Hiatus Coyote, 3070, all of this kind of crew.
yeah. Okay. That's
and-
really cool though. Like,
Yeah,
That
this-
sounds like right up my alley. Honest, like
Yeah.
neo jazz kind of thing.
Totally. Well,
Yeah.
this is more in their infancy stages, and I guess I wasn't even playing any music, but like just in the world of it. Then I moved to Barcelona, got a job writing, and this is when I discovered house music for the first time.
Really?
And then I was like, okay, so then from like 2014 to like now is basically a blur.
It's just partying.
Yeah, just a
partying.
repetitive beat ever since then, but I've loved it, so I can't complain.
Well, house music, you know, like a lot of people say that it's like it's their rhythm to their soul almost, basically. Like,
Totally.
I think it's like the
Totally.
modern, like, because I mean, we go back like 60,000 years. They had drum circles and whatnot. It's that constant beat to dance to.
Yeah,
and that's what house music is, like the modern day drum circle.
Yeah, it's a meditation. That's how I always think of it. And then I was in Berlin after that, and then of course techno.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then after that is when I came to Perth.
Really?
Yeah.
So what year did you move here then?
2018.
Wow. Okay. So then, how long has Nest FM been around for?
We're only just over a year old.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
See, like, it blew up, though, because, like, as soon as it popped up, I kind of saw it in my newsfeed and stuff. I was like, yeah, okay, that's an interesting thing. I wonder what that is, but never actually went to one because I was always working, so...
Yeah, until you did, though. You did come, like, recently in June,
Yeah, that's it, yeah, because it was, like, a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night or something like that. And we were just like, yeah, let's go check out the bird. Holy shit, it's busy.
Well, maybe you should tell me about Nest from your perspective. Like, what did it look like? What did it feel like?
Well, honestly, like, when we went in there, and, like, we went out the back into the courtyard, because the bird is such a cool venue.
Love it.
It's just, like... It was so busy, and then you had the DJ set up, and it was kind of just like alternative music as well. Like, people were just having fun, everyone's there, and it's just like socializing. It seemed like a good crew.
Yeah, this night we had super fast, like nearly gabba music playing.
Really?
It's like a 160, 170 range BPM.
Yeah.
The kids, they love it fast.
Yeah,
they love it super fast.
They do, yeah. So then, how did Nest come about? Like...
So I finished, I came here to study at Whopper, and I finished that in 2021 at the start, but it was the middle of the pandemic, so couldn't really go anywhere, and I felt quite blessed to actually be in Perth at that time, because we obviously had a lot of freedom, and so I thought, well, this would be a good place. What do I want to develop? And my DJing was one of those, and I know the hours that you get in behind the decks are super important.
Yeah.
So I went to the Bird, which is like where we were hanging out all the time, and I used to work with a drag collective called the Real Housewives of Northbridge. And
Real Housewives of Northbridge.
Yeah.
Is there like a Facebook page or anything we can pull up for that?
No, maybe somewhere deeper in the archives we can find some old videos. Or even the West, I think, did an article.
Really?
Yeah, bung in the Real Housewives of Northbridge. I would be curious to see what Google gives back. We were working a lot with a party at the Bird called Leg Day, run by Pete Foley, which was like also a queer party of its time. Yeah, this is us at the first two there.
The first two photos?
Yeah.
Which one were you?
I'm the blonde.
You're the blonde. Very nice. Go the other one again. Yeah, open up. Yeah. Look at
yes.
Wow.
Those are the days. We were sort of like a trash drag collective, really budget, as you can see. And I guess like responding to, I mean, in the era of RuPaul's Drag Race, there's this expectation around polish with drag, which is sort of like a new spin on it. I mean, drag is like can be anything and comes from much grungier roots. So we were looking to like break through a little bit.
Yeah,
you don't need the polish to perform the drag. So but that's when I learned about the magic of the Bird, basically.
And so then, like, with your DJing as well, so, like, did you pick it up beforehand then, or did you kind of, like...
I've been playing since 2019.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I used the money that we made from the Real Housewives of Northbridge to buy my first controller, and then started from that.
So it was events then, like the Real Housewives of Northbridge?
Yeah, so we would perform shows as part of Leg Day.
Okay.
Which would be a dance party afterwards, and we would open the night with a half hour, 45-minute show, and then we did a fringe show, which caused a bit of ruckus.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so what's involved with doing the show? Like, how would a show come about in a way? Like, what would you guys do?
So we came up with the concept, which was like a post-apocalyptic, I mean, super cliche idea for theatre, but like we're young, you know. Yeah,
anything you're talking about, Henry, let me know, like any of the videos that we brought up, let me know.
Yeah, there is where is it? If you look up Real Housewives of Northbridge on a Google search, maybe there'll be something there, or even in the Facebook. Yeah, if you type in Real Housewives of Northbridge 6003.
6003.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so this is like, so if you go to the second review there, here. So this is in our first Fringe show, which was about the after the apocalypse, where the last four who remained, and we find like out on the street the body of one cis white straight guy, and he's the last one on Earth, and so we try to like raise him in the way that we give hope for a new future.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
But it was met to this review gave us 1.5 stars.
Really?
Yeah.
1.5 stars.
Which I guess was like speaking to the change in format that we were pushing as a drag show. But the community had a strong backlash to this article, and it turned out to be like the greatest promotional tool, because we just took that 1.5 star and put it across every piece of advertising that we could possibly imagine.
Really?
Yeah,
that's it,
absolutely.
yeah.
And also we're like, I guess at that time out in Perth, we're kind of a representation of this, in a way, this division that exists in queer culture between the gays and the queers. The gays sort of being like co-opted by straight gay white men and sort of dictating how the culture looks, and then this emergence of queerness in the last 10 years, 20 years, and out in Perth still at that time felt like carrying some of the old ideas through. So it was sort of like when they told us 1.5 stars, we're like, fantastic. Where are odds of that in Perth? Fantastic.
Lovely.
So we sponsored it everywhere, and there was this like real backlash from the community towards out in Perth about this, which I didn't ask for, but it was very...
It just happened. Like,
yeah. People were a bit outraged, I guess, that like they would go to tear down new... You know, it was our first time working together and like doing a show. A lot of us were emerging artists, so they were like, "Why aren't we supporting these people rather than knocking them down?"
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. That's where it should be like that. You know, I was talking about this last night. Where it's one of those things where it's like, in a way, you in a community such as small as Perth, you got to work together. You can't just be like, "Nah, I don't like that, so let's not," you know, help out or do this or try and bring them up or anything. It's like you gotta be there for everybody that's emerging or doing anything, because it's like it's their foot in the door. It's this, like, you know, it's them starting out, and so if you just shut them down, well, then how are you supposed to help them out? Like,
Yeah.
well, not even help them out. How are you supposed to encourage them? Or, you know, they could be the next, you know, biggest thing. But if they just get like heaps of bad feedback, then it's just unfortunate. It's just sad almost.
Yeah. I think especially in the realm of drag, where obviously RuPaul's Drag Race has exploded drag from an underground art to a mainstream form.
Okay.
And this show is based on the premise of competition, firstly, so setting queers up competitively against one another, and then being judged all the time for their art. So this is kind of breeds this sort of like judgmental competitive culture. And we're looking to like break through that a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was really warmed by the reaction. And so then we ended up doing an encore performance of this show. And we were performing in a Spiegel tent to start with to about 90 or like 80, 70, 80 people.
So that's impressive. That's all right.
Well, we sold that out, and then they gave us an encore in a bigger Spiegel tent of 250, and we sold that out as well.
Fuck, that's cool. That's all right.
It was really amazing.
How much for
journey.
tickets and stuff?
$20, $25.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
And so what happened with Fringe? Why did you guys get up to Ruckus?
Well, I mean, that was that year of Ruckus with Fringe.
Yeah.
There's some more Ruckus with Fringe that came later down the track in the following years.
Okay. Are you able to talk about it, or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I have this drag persona, which I also use for the housewives, called Australia.
Okay.
Who I use as like a political and social commentary on the country.
Yeah.
She's like young, she's blonde, she went to private school, you know, she like went overseas for a bit, and she like had amazing experiences, and she maybe we can watch as a small intro here to Ash. It's a good example. This was from when the same-sex marriage plebiscite was happening.
Okay. So plebiscite, what do you mean by that? What was that again? Sorry.
The marriage plebiscite where gay people could.
When they could actually marry.
Yeah.
Remember when we had the
yeah.
referendum? We had to vote yes or no.
Yep. Yeah, I remember. Yep. Are we able to put audio as well on?
It's coming.
Okay. So that's you there.
This is me here.
So different. You got a beard.
Yeah. No.
All right, I'll go back to the beginning. I had it muted. You're all right.
Oh, will we get a copyright for this?
Just talk over it. They'll never pick it up.
I'm Australian, and I'm a drag queen from Berlin. Random, I know, right? Berlin is hectic, and you can definitely say that this year I've been one busy. Despite all my arguments, I'm going to make sure that before August 24th, I'm enrolled to vote with the Australian electoral roll to make sure that I can play my part in making Australia's history in the plebiscite on same-sex marriage, otherwise known as the Big Gay Expensive Survey.
Berghain.
There was that Berghain. No shit.
Like you, I have very little interest in Australian politics. I mean, I'm rich and white. Why should I care about anything at all? And plus, everything I see about politics in the Australian media is so boring. It's like, if you want me to pay attention, get some fucking personality and stylist. Go. I mean, that said, I do always like greens. It's my favorite colour. I think that it's bullshit that anyone should be told that because of who they love, they deserve to be treated differently.
Random vibe switch.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Fridge.
Thinking of all the people who will never get to experience the glamorous scandal that is divorce. My parents splitting up was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. My mother rose from the ashes of her toxic relationship like a fiery phoenix. And my father didn't have to put up with their constant cold shouldering and weird mental breakdowns anymore. And I've never been happier. I mean, doesn't everyone deserve the same opportunity to succumb to a suffocating ritual set up by the same church who erased our queer history and burned our leaders at the stake under the guise of witchcraft to secure their wealth and power? Seriously, ladies, if you thought that your latte cocktail was saucy, just wait until the future. And gents, you kind of owe us. Tinder, electronic music. Yeah, that's right, you bigoted misogynistic. Just kidding, but yes, seriously, Australia. It's time to afford everyone this freedom. So stop scrolling, click the link below, enroll to vote, and then vote yes on same-sex marriage. Let's come together as a nation and be unhappy together, forever, until whitewashing or divorce as reality television does us apart.
Yeah, so that's her.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Thanks, Facebook, for autoplay. Thanks, all social media for autoplay. I'm sure there's a way to turn it off. We should get to that.
I love the link between Australia, same-sex plebiscite, and water slide in the Philippines. A classic combo.
That's amazing, though. So, and did you get many people to sign up? Do you know?
I'm not sure how many people changed their political views as a result, but the video got like 50,000 hits. So
wow.
I was super amazed with this. Yeah,
that's
this
good.
Is quite old now, like 20.
For a Perth creator,
16.
50k views is good.
But that's it. Like, you got the beard now. It's like it's almost like can't recognize you.
Bit of facial hair, a little bit of drag magic, you know.
So when did you stop doing the drag?
I still do drag.
Still do?
Yeah.
Do you shave the beard?
Yeah, I always, always.
I was saying, it's like most drags don't have a beard.
I still live by trash drag, which I think is like partly an excuse for me, like to not have to like work more on my makeup or like sewing skills. But I remember doing drag. I'd had a break for ages, and I did it again. And you know this expression, serving fish. It's sort of like a bit outdated, and it means like when a drag queen's looking very feminine, we say you're serving fish.
Okay.
And my friends said when I came out in my like first time in drag in over a year look, they were like, well, someone's serving meatloaf.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's, we're getting trashier and trashier, it seems, as the time goes on.
That's all right. So then with that, like, have you ever done that in, because obviously that was in Germany, you've done it in Perth then, because you had the Real Housewives of Northbridge, but then like when was the last time you did something like that? Like how many shows have you done in Perth as a drag queen?
I don't know. I don't know, like quite a few, I guess. I didn't really, like, I competed a few times at the court and in these sort of situations, but I wasn't super interested in participating in this realm of it. I guess is more
be just like a different vibe almost, or like...
Yeah, it's just a different, I guess I mean, I feel really grateful in many ways. Sometimes I think that, like, what I do is not really drag at all. It's more theatre and character. And I've just been lucky that, I've been lucky. What's funny? I've just been lucky that drag queens have, like, let me do my shit on the stage. Really. Yeah.
So is there, like, freedom when it comes to doing things like that? Because, like, you know, as you just said, like, they let you do things like that, but then at the court, is it kind of more you have rules and things you have to do, and, like, it has to follow this formula or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
If you're going to compete, you know, then there's, like, certain expectations of the game.
Okay.
But, like, I guess at that time I was feeling I didn't like drag for most of my upbringing and childhood.
Really?
and when I was a young like adult, I thought it was kind of misogynistic, and, like, aside from the aesthetics, I didn't think it was, like, I didn't find lip syncing a particularly, like, now I've learned as a lip syncer it's much harder than it looks, but, like, at the time I didn't think this was anything super
How did
special.
you fall into the drag scene then?
Well, it wasn't until I went to Berlin and I saw like socialist left-wing trash drag. Olympia Bukakis was really the drag queen who I saw for the first time, who I was like, wow, I didn't know that drag could be like that. She would be, like, bald and screaming about Brexit and the left and the failures of the left, and, like, these heated political discussions, but in the context of a drag show. And, like, 30 people in a room having ciggies and, like, you know, engaging with her as she spoke, and there was such a different dynamic, and I thought, oh my god, I didn't realize drag could be like this. So that sort of began my journey into it.
Well, it's just like music as well, because music, it's like, you know, you have drum and bass and dubstep. I was talking about this last night, but there's so many different, you know, genres, vibes. Like, you know, you can go to a house club, but a house club might be completely different when you go to a techno club, or depending on what the venue layout is and just, like, the way the vibe is, it can be just so subjective just to so many different, like, vibes and atmospheres and everything.
Well, it's good you bring up the techno scene. Did you want to talk about how, I've been to Germany, but I didn't get into Berghain, but there's that sort of weird element of drag involved with going to Berghain, if that makes any sense.
Is there?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's sort of like it's a subculture, so it has, like, its own uniform in some ways.
Okay.
I'm actually, like, in a process of being super disillusioned by Berghain because I've been going there for 10 years.
Really?
Since 2012 when I first went to Berlin. And then it was really like this feeling like the underground had created something secret and massive. And you really had to, like, know how, you had to meet the right people or take your chances to be able to access this thing. And it was really special. And then the explosion of Instagram and sort of, like, Resident Advisor, Boiler Room, Her Radio, all this sort of, like, commodification and presentation of underground music and dance culture. And now it's just, like, Disneyland for techno.
Yeah. That's it, because it, like, really, really blew up. It just became, like, a popular, basically, like, a popular club from an underground club.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you can find it, but Conan O'Brien tried to get in there, and he got rejected.
Yeah.
But it's like Conan O'Brien, for him to go there, you know, he has the talk show or whatever it is, and with that, so many people follow him. It's just putting it on the map. It's like with Tomorrowland and Burning Man as well. Like, Burning Man used to be such, like, an underground collective of, you know, creatives and hippies and this and that and freedom and the whole lot. But then it's like, after I think it was Skrillex and Diplo played there, it was like, oh yeah, that's a cool festival, let's go check it out, with the big muscly dudes and stuff like that, and, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's just always the tough thing of, like, any art or culture, is that when it becomes larger, then how do you keep the essence of what made it special?
Exactly.
I think a lot of parties also struggle with that in Perth. Like, they will have a really amazing energy and a vibe that they brew up, and then as it becomes more popular, that kind of gets diluted a little bit.
That's it. And then sometimes, not all the time, but that's when it becomes all about making money. Almost, it's like, they make one event and it's so successful, and they go, holy shit, like now we can do a bigger event, a better event, but we have to stick to that same, cheesy formula of just like, well, it's becoming more popular, and it's becoming more.
I also think the terms like underground and mainstream, like it means different things to different people, right? So
Yeah.
like what might be underground to me, I consider underground. Someone else might be like, oh, that's mainstream.
Depending on your reference points and where you've
Exactly.
been.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the goal of an underground thing to become mainstream, but if it becomes mainstream, it's because it's doing something right.
That's exactly
Right?
it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, or something that's popular at least, or
Yeah.
resonates with.
and then it's
large
become so
numbers of
popular, and people are like, oh, it's too popular now. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, you
That's
can't
it.
win.
Yeah. That's exactly
Well,
it.
part of it's also accepting that like maybe this is like the history and the process of art is that it's created in cheap underground locations by artists who can spend more time outside capitalism and working on their shit, and then it it happened to New York also in the 70s through to what it is now, and it's just unusual. It's the first time I've lived through a process of gentrification, and it's I guess I think it will probably always be happening. The question for artists is like, where are you going to be to create the things that you want to create?
That's exactly it. And like where you're going to be to also be a part of that next, change, or the way things are, modifying almost through time. Because it's like what happened with the dubstep scene as well. Dubstep used to be so underground, but then it just became, it's at almost every American festival now.
Yeah.
And it's like you have all these huge, huge names playing it. But it was like Perth in England that actually like were the first ones to kind of go, like, create it and start it.
Yeah.
And now it's worldwide. So it's just
dubstep
changing.
and drum and bass have such a deep root here in Perth. I've found since I came here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What did Skrillex kill dubstep?
Well, they say that, but it became its own thing called
Skrillex was the
brostep.
Skrillex was the change in the sound of dubstep.
Yeah.
He brought a new sound to dubstep. I mean, the old style of dubstep still exists. It's just not popular because Skrillex popularized his version of
I
dubstep.
see.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then that's it. Like someone becomes, it's like with Flume as well.
Yeah.
It's like Flume kind of creates its own sound, but then it's like now with music, it's like people have kind of created their own sound based off like his roots to be able to actually like, change the scene and modify the genre almost, and like really like define it as whatever you call it, because I don't even know what the genre is really called. Like,
Yeah. I think this thing, so one of the feedbacks I've heard about this in this conversation is like, well, you can't knock someone for like, everyone's got to make a living, and like, oh, good on him for like, making lots of money, making a living from music and blah blah blah. And I sort of understood this perspective, like running Nest as a promoter and like someone who sells music, the musical experience. And lately I just think like maybe music shouldn't be for sale. Music's an art is older than money.
That's exactly it. It's an art form, 100% an art form. See, like with me, for example, it's like, I always say this, but it's like going out and playing ABBA, Gimme a Man after midnight every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But like at that time, it was paying my bills, and I loved getting people to dance to it. But at the same time, it's like every Halloween, I get invited to this Halloween rave, and it's like it's in a garage, but it just packs out, and I just get so excited because I get to play. I don't have to play pop music. I get to play underground, full-on techno.
Yeah.
But then it's like I'm not getting paid for that. Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. So like I don't get paid for that, but at the same time, it's like being there. It's just a completely different vibe, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So like with Nest though, so like how did it come about? Because like you did the Housewives of Northbridge, and then like what happened after that? Like,
So I guess through Housewives is how but I mean, anyone who's like in music in Perth goes to the Bird.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows the Bird and has a relationship to it, and I was no different. And so when I sort of came out of Whopper, and like DJing was one thing that I wanted to develop in my practice, and I thought, where am I going to do that? Of course, the Bird.
yeah.
So I spoke with them, and they were kind enough to give me a residency between like 5 and 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. I did the first one on my own, and I thought that was a really long time to play to a courtyard. So I invited my friends, Cooper and Stewie. The three of us have a group called Carolina Reaper.
Okay.
And we played the first couple there on every Wednesday, and then we started live streaming them. We just do it on our phones to start with, and we used to have like a burger cam, so we would just like have a burger that would like the burger would be in the front of the frame and we'd be mixing in the back, and then we would just like eat aggressively the burger in the face of the camera and then like make out over the burger or like, you know, just sort of clowning around. And then my friend Tom, who also coined the name Nest FM, so shout outs to Tom, said, I've got all this live streaming equipment that I'm not using here, why don't you put it on properly? So we started doing that, and that was also at the time when the pandemic was quite hectic, so all of our friends who were stuck in Melbourne could then join us every Wednesday night for this buffoonery, and then just became more and more well known.
Because how many events have you done so far? It seems like you've done quite a few, right?
Maybe like 20 or 25.
That's not bad.
Into one after 10 or so.
Yeah, legit.
That's really good though. Like, because as I said, it's like when I was scrolling through my news feed trying to like find information about what's happening in the scene and stuff like that, it was popping up, and it's like it always had me intrigued because I thought Nest FM was just this, you know, it was at the Bird, but it was run by the Bird. I didn't think it was actually like, you know, events company, basically events company, you guys. But then like, you know,
it was definitely I wanted to make something that was site specific, so I wanted to make something that was just for the Bird, and I just said to the Bird at the beginning as well, like, just can I have this residency? I don't know where it's going to what it's going to turn into, but I have a feeling it's going to turn into something, so give it to me and I will run with it. And then we're still running, and we use part of the Bird's logo in our logo, and so they're sort of like pretty inextricably linked. They
Gothy Fag Party.
Yeah, this is one we did in November last year. The promo videos have definitely become part of the Nest process. So every time we release the set times, we drop these videos that we make in the lead up. And I guess each party is themed or has this like certain commentary that it's trying to provide. This was the name from this came from Cooper also, whose mum asked them where to get a glitter wig, and they replied in the text message saying, "We're not really like glitter gays, we're more gothy fags." I thought this was fabulous. So I screen grabbed the iMessage and used it as the poster.
Really? So then, with that, like, was this the first one, or
no? This was in November. This is getting deeper into the process. So, I guess when I started it, one thing I was really conscious of is like, I actually didn't want to. I feel like now when anyone gets an idea for a project, they first make an Instagram, you know, make a Facebook page about it, make an Instagram, and I just find this so uninspired. So I thought I really want there to be something already before we launch into online. So then once we started online, then we already had something. And this making these videos became part of our shtick.
So then how long did it take to make these videos? Like over a couple of weeks, or?
Normally I'll shoot them in one day, like I'll organize a shoot day and set it up. And then it'll take me like anywhere between, normally once I get started with the video editing, it's a very like a rabbit hole experience, and I'll just start, and then, you know, 8 hours will go by, but I will have finished the whole thing in one sitting.
So what one's this? What party's this?
This was the FIFO pool party that we did at the Indie Beach Hotel in last summer.
You had a FIFO beach party.
Yeah, pool party.
Pool party, yeah. Wow.
I guess Did
everyone rock up in high vis and stuff like that?
Everyone, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The looks were on point because, I mean, it just gives people a thing. And this is what, like, so many amazing creatives on Boles in Perth, and, like, I really wanted to just give them a little provocation and see what they come up with. And they never fail to disappoint. I mean, you know what I mean? It's always awesome.
Who was that just then? Was that Keegan?
Yeah, Keegan.
No way, okay.
Keegan helped me do this one, actually. It was
These must be really fun to film.
Collaborate, yeah. This is probably, in many ways, my favourite part of the whole process.
Boobs. Whatever the hell he's rubbing into his head. I bet that's sunscreen, right?
Yeah. But made you think.
Yeah.
Could be a load.
I thought it was mayonnaise.
Wow. So you don't do any storyboards or anything like that. It's like, let's just go to the indie bar and let's just fuck around and film it.
The freedom with Nest, a lot of the motto is like, do as much as you can with as little as possible, and try and keep it cheap and trashy in a way, because there's a bit more. You're not stressed about like 6 million props, cinematographers, cameras. You know, I just do everything on my iPhone,
Really?
and edit it. So
And edit directly off your iPhone as well? Or?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's dedication though as well. So like, because I mean, in a way, it's like, so because it's just you, or is it other people involved with Nest that are like quite high up, or?
I mean, it's mostly me doing the decision making, but Nest is really like, I rely so much on the community to they make it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone who comes and takes part in the videos, or even just comes down and dances, the DJs, everyone who like, you know, my friends have Nest FM tattoos. You know,
Really?
like,
Wow.
It's not, I mean, I sort of like decide for it, but I really feel like it's a life of its own. I'm just kind of like
it's a collective, just
shaping
it's a
it.
community basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
totally.
that's great though, because that's what, you know, anyone that creates an event would want. So that's like 100% what they would want, because it's like,
What are you laughing at?
I don't know.
You keep a sentence together,
laughing at.
Alex. Look,
Yeah.
you can take a second if you want. Breathe.
I'm just sitting here, you know, just floundering about in my pink dress.
Yeah. Why don't you get up and give us a 12?
It's a really cute pink dress, but I thought
That
you
you
were going
brought over.
to wear the where's your cat ears also,
Oh yes, yeah. Where were that?
because it was a whole look. Yeah, there we go.
God damn.
Much better. And one's down, which you know what that means. I don't, but maybe you do.
I don't know what that means. Oh shit.
Last
Alex,
episode. Now
of
get us
season
back
2.
on track.
All right. So like it's a community, yeah. And so being a community, it's just so good being able to actually like, you know, when it takes it life on its own in a way, and everyone wants to be part of it, hang out. Like, you know, you must feel proud in a way, right? Because it's
Totally.
like, yeah. Because every time you throw an event right, like, I mean, just like every event, they have quiet nights sometimes. But the thing is, though, it's like the people that rock up, they're the dedicated ones. And like for people to have tattoos of Nest FM, that's dope.
Yeah,
Like, that's
one of my
really
friends,
cool.
Cooper, also has their tattoo says Nest FM DJ of the week.
Really?
The concept is brilliant.
Oh,
That you
wow.
get a tattoo
Do
if
you
you're
have
the
like a
DJ of the
roster
week.
of DJs that are like Nest FM DJs? Or do you
There's
rotate?
definitely some like unofficial residents, but like I'd really try and make space for DJs who are up and coming, because I also host, so Nest FM, I will host like a radio program. So I'll introduce each DJ, we'll talk shit on the mic, like I'll call people out in the audience. It's really like, I pretend that we're like in a radio studio, but the radio studio is the Bird Courtyard.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit more room to like, I always have this expression with Nest that you can't fuck it up because we're already so fucked. So it like, there's a bit more room to like experiment or do things, have a bit more fun with it. You know, there seems to be like a bit less judgment in the space, which I think is really normal for a queer space.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
But it's also good enforcing that as well. It's like, you know, you don't want anyone to come in and just like ruffle the feathers almost. It's like everyone just go there, have fun, and be yourself basically, right?
Totally. And dance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like really dance, you know, not just a two-step, not a shoegaze. It's okay, but if you don't see some ass shaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Is,
natural as well.
Is it an event like that people can go to, or is it strictly online now?
No, it's we stream it online, but it's an event first and foremost.
So
Yeah.
where are you hosting it?
Mostly at the Bird. That's
At
our
the
home. We've got one on coming up this Saturday, which is also a night market. So I did an open call out, and we've got a bunch of artists, pottery makers, people selling secondhand clothes, tarot readers.
Yeah.
And we'll have music, of course.
I really like that because I do events as well, and my whole thing is like, what else can I bring to the table other than a dance floor and a bar? You know,
Yeah.
everyone does that. It's boring, you know, and so our thing is like we always cater for a chill space, like an area where people can shit talk and like actually have a conversation with each other. Like you go to most clubs nowadays, not looking at anyone, Magnet House. There's nowhere to stop and talk to anyone because it's just blaring music and the bars, and that's it.
That's it, yeah.
So-
Yeah. I was thinking about this a lot. Also, like it's in a process of thinking about music and dance, especially, which is like an old human form. But like, why do we have to, why does all music and music events also have to facilitate sale of alcohol?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly
True, yeah.
Not that I don't
Should be,
love
but-
having a drink, but it's like, can it? I can't. I struggle to see where it's existing outside of this, or it exists in like the symphony orchestra. You know, these like insane institutions. But I'm like, what happened to the street music?
Yeah.
You know,
I think
in a way.
I think the way they could probably fix that is, like, you got a lot of bars, they don't really cater for non-alcoholics that much. I
Yeah.
mean, you can get, like, mixes and stuff, but, like, why not put on some mocktails and, like, sell
Yeah.
some juice and punch, you know, non-alcoholic punch, you know?
I think it goes back to that thing also of like selling the music, like the music being a vehicle to sell something.
Yeah.
And sort of like, we live in this world where you can't deny money, but also I'm like, Kira, can we have music back?
That's
You know?
exactly it. Yeah. Well, I can imagine like over in places like, you know, Berlin and stuff like, and Barcelona, it's all the music, right? People go there to party, to vibe, and the alcohol's so cheap over there, right? That it's not that big of a thing. I mean, obviously other substances or whatever the go is, because it's Europe, like, you know, when in Rome, right? But it's just like, just being able just to go and enjoy yourself without having to go, let's pre-drink and then let's, you know, go there and like spend $300-$400 at the bar, and then, you know, it all just be about getting drunk and wasted and getting up to, you know, almost mischief in a way.
We
Yeah.
actually did an online survey of what people think should be the, you know, the price of a night when you go out, and I think the average is about $150. That's what
Yeah.
people want to spend on a night out.
Well, see, like, I'm originally from Bustleton, right? And being from Bustle, when I first moved to Perth, my mates from Bustle would come up and stay with me, right? But they'd spend $300-$500 a night. You know, they were FIFA, of course. But the thing is, like, they were literally going out and buying so much alcohol and doing this and doing that. And, like, it was just kind of like, you don't have to drink to have fun, you know? Like,
Well,
just get
but
in the
also
vibe.
if you're working a 40+ hour work week, maybe you do.
Yeah, that is
you know,
true, yeah.
and this is what I'm also like, we create these spaces that are really amazing to like, you know, like have a moment where you're like back to your body and celebrating and being a human rather than a, you know, condemned to work your whole life.
Yeah.
But also perhaps somehow maybe this boosts the system, you know, the more we like have this escape and not have to worry about changing the way we live. I don't know. I'm thinking about all these things at the moment. I'm deep in the philosophical realm.
But it's
post
good, though.
Berlin.
It's good though, because it's like you can apply it to your own events, just to try and make it just so like that's that extra bit of just awesomeness, basically.
Yeah, but I think until we get out into nature, this is where it like, you know.
Would you ever do any like
Absolutely.
bush
So,
parties?
who we worked with, like Cooper and Stewie and I, who run Carolina Reaper. We also did a queer beach rave called Queerin' Up,
Okay.
which took place a few summers ago. We did 2 editions, and we would have drag in the morning on the beach. So the drag queens would like perform at sunrise, and they would like sit everyone down and turn them around. Then drag queens would come out the water and perform.
Oh, wow.
It was really amazing, super amazing.
Yeah, okay, that sounds
it here?
very cool.
No. Bring queer in up. Not quite. Queer in up, of course, is like a take on the you know, Karen up, all the ups, which is also the Noongar word for water, which is where this comes from.
Clear
From the
water.
beach. Yeah, exactly. And that's very much what it was.
Yeah, okay. So then, like, how long does it take to prepare for these events and then to, you know, to push them and then make them happen in the way?
Well, I've spent the last year since Nest like really took off, like since we started doing full night parties, I've just worked on it full time.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, will you come up with an idea, you put it past the crew, and then you go, okay, like, let's do this, and then like you go into preparation, but then like what's involved with the preparation and to actually, like, you know, from coming up with the idea to the actual event, what happens in between?
Well, the putting it past the crew thing is a relatively new process. I always say, like, my friends are really good at steering me away from getting cancelled. And be like very bold in my decision making sometimes. And it's good to have friends around who are like, maybe not maybe don't call the event that, you know, or like maybe don't put that picture on
Well,
there.
like,
you know?
what's an example of that? Like, of how you can get cancelled? Like,
Cancel yourself now. Go.
yeah.
I mean, like, it's fine. Like, yeah, we just lie.
I wanted to. So this party actually that we have on the screen now,
Yeah.
this was called Thought Girl Summer, and we did this in December last year.
Yeah.
But I originally wanted to call it White Girl Wasted, because we had two girl gangs who were going to DJ, who were all white. And I guess I wanted to provide a commentary on that, because there's a sort of like a push for diversity in our current scene, and which I fully support. But I'm also interested in how we can like there seems to be like stringent requirements for each lineup, and I'm wondering whether that impacts the energy of the space in a positive way, or is there a better way that we can incorporate diversity?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like being a bit cheeky and commenting on the fact that I knew what I was doing, and my friend. But the reaction to this was more about like about this, like, I guess the associations with like sexual assault and rape day culture.
Yeah.
There was like a bar in Fremantle that had a beverage called White Girl Wasted.
Oh, really?
And they got super cancelled for this.
Really?
But like, yeah.
Really?
I guess
They
it's
got
like-
super cancelled for that.
Glorifying a certain like
Yeah.
state of mind.
Yeah, state of mind
Yeah.
behaviour
Yeah.
almost as well.
Yeah, which some might say is a reclaim. I love being White Girl Wasted.
Yeah, but it's another one of those terms that everyone has a different understanding of what white girl wasted. Because when I hear white girl wasted, like, I'm talking crying, can't stand up, slobbery mess. She's got three girlfriends
Melbourne
around
Cup
her,
vibes.
like
Yeah.
holding her hair back, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and you never want to get to that point.
No, but we know Nest FM is not like where it's fun, you know, and people are actually really respectful and like, I don't know, I have to say, especially coming from Berlin, I was like amazed to walk into a venue, The Bird, on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and saw all these queers dancing their ass off, and people were just like having a drink, you know, because the energy was so good that it was inviting this dance.
Well, if you ever want to push a cake into my face for your videos, let me know.
Once again, it was just like someone's backyard, and you just like, let's just have fun. Here's some whipped cream, right?
Totally. We shot this. It was quite hard to pull 8 people together. So we only had an hour to film this, and we hustled through it, but it was hell good fun. Yeah. So I guess I come up with a concept and then find an aesthetic for it. Think about who is going to be involved in the party musically. This is what I think about first. How's it going to sound? And then from that, I can figure out who should be in the video. Often I'll use DJs who, like, all these girls played in the at the event, and like
Bong girls.
yeah, the Bong Girls and Sealed section.
That's so good. And so that was on a Wednesday as well. Sorry, I just popped up.
That was on a Wednesday, but it was right before Christmas.
Yeah.
So it was really fun.
Do you ever do anything on Fridays or Saturdays as well at all?
Sometimes it depends. The venue, if they approach us and want us to do something, and they have a night that we're interested in doing. We're not strictly Wednesdays, but we were born on a Wednesday. But it's also very hard to sustain a midweek event in
In
Perth.
Perth, yeah, prices.
Yeah, and
We can get away with like £5 drinks in the UK. Then yeah, of course you go out the midweek. Why not?
Yeah.
But it's like $15 for a drink in Perth. Like nobody's got time for that.
yeah, and you try and be like, come, we'll do a $5 door charge, but then you don't even have enough money to pay DJs. So like,
Yeah.
you really have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we've been on like $10 to $20 door sales in Perth for how many years now?
Yeah, wow.
30 years. Like
What, $20 door sales?
$10 to $20 mark. Like the average local event you're going to is usually $10 to $20 to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say that. Maybe
On a
like-
Wednesday night, I can understand a $5 fee, but like if you're rocking Friday or Saturday nights, you're not charging $5 entry. No, I don't think anyone does that. Free
then-
entry maybe to like
Yeah.
a club.
We have a total, like, we're never going to turn anyone away from Nest for lack of funds. You know, we always say if you're like hell poor, just message us and we'll put you on the door. Always free for First Nations people as a act of reparations. And I think that there's like being queer, like sometimes also means that it's really hard for you to find work and earn money.
Yeah.
And because I've been fired from jobs for having nail polish, or my housemate just like had to like quit because they told her she couldn't have her hair colored. You know, there's like this like denial of expression, which is integral to
Really, she got
queer
fired because she wasn't
becoming.
allowed to have her hair coloured.
Yeah, and they also hired her like with coloured hair and then changed their policy midway
That's
through. but, like,
ridiculous. See, like up north, one of the girls that I work with, she's on the other panel though. Every time she rocks up, like every month she changes the hair color. But like she's in emergency services, so like nurse, firefighter, and like just emergencies in general,
Yeah.
right? And no problem. And it's for Rio Tinto.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, you know, that's a pretty big bloody mining company, and they're completely fine with it.
Yeah, well, I guess
And they
told-
encourage that kind of stuff as well, to be
Well, I
honest.
think it's so healthy, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, people are always like, you know, queer parties are so fun and like the energy's so good. I'm like, that's because we've had to like suffer for many years and like had to limit our self-expression, and now there's like 20 odd years minimum of like catching up to do of like really expressing yourself who you are. So
But we're getting there, though. By the looks of it, we are getting there. Like, everything is just being able to, you know, you can do whatever you want to do soon, hopefully. Like, most places, yes. But as you just said, like, you know, getting fired for bloody for cutting your hair. Well, no, it's hair color. It's a bit ridiculous. So,
yeah, well, that's all I always try and keep Nest. You know, like I think the most we ever charged was $25 for an event.
But you obviously had guests or something like that? You had someone over east or something come
that was
or?
for Strange Festival.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had just a we had a huge empty space that we had to turn into a spot. So it was requiring a lot of logistics. So we had to make the money back somehow.
So that's a good lead in. So what is Strange Festival?
Well, Strange Festival is run by two amazing artists who I guess are like wanting Perth to have something that for the alternative arts. And I came across their stuff just as it was coming out. I thought it was very like very sort of in line with us and our ethos. So I contacted them and they had us do a program there as part of this festival. This was the inaugural Strange Festival that happened this year. And
It looked really cool. Like, from the videos I saw, it looked amazing. It was just like very alternative. You go in there and it's like, it's just a different experience basically. It's not just
James
an art
Hastings
museum.
was involved with that.
What?
James Hastings.
Okay. Who's that?
He's like a really great photographer, and I think he also does like some set design, like build stages and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
shout out to James Hastings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love to get him on the podcast and pick his brain.
Oh, well, we can try.
Yeah, might hit him up.
So what was your involvement with Strange Festival then?
So we did a night for them, and I put an open call out to the Nest crowd, to anyone who has work that is more experimental, or that you want to play a style of dance music that you feel doesn't fit anywhere. We're going to create a space for that. So we had everything from like Indonesian dance music, like marriage and celebration music, to like noise, to stuff that was made through coding and computing.
Really?
We had drag, we had dance, we had like all kinds of different performance
There's the
arts.
Nest FM logo.
Yeah, that's us.
That's very cool. And so was it only just one day? No, it was 2 days.
We did 2 nights, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also a lesson in the challenge of doing a midweek event in Perth. I think I was maybe a little ambitious, thinking everyone will come, of course, it's something special.
But that's it. And then that's the thing about doing midweek. It's because people have work and they have jobs, and then, you know, by the time they get home, they just can't be bothered doing anything sometimes. So
Totally. But then this is the system fucking us up again, you know?
that's it. Yeah. The bloody
Sucking our
system.
life force out.
Yeah. So, like, where would you want to take Nest FM?
Well, I think like the greatest thing about me for Nest has been that because I didn't design Nest, it just kind of emerged. I don't have any expectations about where it should go. I guess I'm just like monitoring it, taking it with me, and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Definitely that's also led me into some trouble, not having any real boundaries on it, which are sort of like I took on too much, more than I could handle.
Yeah,
and
just like, overworked almost, or
yeah, because I had no, like, my whole thing was like say yes, see what happens, fuck around and find out, you know?
Yeah.
And then I found out.
Oh, so you were the guys that did the Bratz pool party.
Yeah, and then we did Brat's pool party too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though.
I hell bagged that out when I saw it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do Barbie pool party, and then my friend Ryan said Bratz, and I was like, Nest FM is hell more Bratz than it is Barbie. So it went off, actually. It was really, really awesome.
And what was that? Reboxing gay?
Yeah, so the party was originally called Boxing Gay, and it was going to be on Boxing Day at the Bird, and it was like wrestling themed.
I love
Wrestling.
how you've given them like stats.
Yeah.
More grab shit snare.
Yeah. The friend Jad Shy Time, who always says that she told Shy Time that his snares are shit.
He's got good scores.
Yeah, Kev. Nicole for Lev, legend, loyal.
Million Mile Motor. Lovely.
You hosted the rounds on RTR.
Yeah, okay.
So then we got locked down in last Boxing Day. So we did Reboxing Gay a few weeks later.
Yeah, because that caused a lot of trouble for everybody, unfortunately. Because it's just like we didn't know if we were gonna, you know, Christmas and New Year's and Boxing Day, and then unfortunately not. Everything had to cancel.
So sad. That's my favorite time of the year in Perth. Like between that Boxing Day to New Year's period is just like super special, I reckon.
Yeah, I can never keep up with that period. It's actually probably the most stressful period in my life, to be honest. Like, there's so much going on, and you have to juggle, like, do I go to this event, or do I go to this event, or do I just not go out? Like, what do I do?
You got to go with the flow, baby. Go with the flow.
And then there's just so many people. Like, what am I, like, introverted, extrovert? Yes, introverted, extrovert. What's the
Doesn't
difference
matter.
between an introverted extrovert and an extroverted introvert?
One's more dominant than the other.
Right. Well, what's the more dominant one? Because I want to be that one.
Depends on if you're an introvert or an extrovert.
Right.
Wouldn't it be extrovert introvert? Maybe, because like out in the public eye you're an extrovert, but then at home you're an introvert. So then out and about you're like dominating, and you're like, like I'm cool, and like let's talk, let's do this, let's do that, let's party. But then when you get home, you're like, let's just cuddle, right?
Versus when you're an introvert extrovert, which would be when you're at home, but you're like really enthusiastic to your pets.
If you're an introverted extrovert, you're just like shy around people and experiences you're not familiar with. Like,
But
if
then
you're out of your comfort zone,
okay.
you're introverted.
Yeah. I see.
Whereas
But
if
then-
you're a
At home, then you're bouncing off the walls.
well, yeah, because you're in your safe space, right? You're at home.
Okay,
But I think anyone's like that. It doesn't matter if you're introverted, extroverted. But like when you're in company that you know with all your friends, then you're extroverted. But as soon as it becomes like in a situation where you don't know many people or whatever, then you become introverted. All right, we're going way too deep into this.
Do we still have that link? I want to jump back a little bit because we were talking before how you got tackled by a security guard.
When?
When you were dragging, and it was like the
Oh, for Fringe, for Woodside.
yeah.
I know this was I did get tackled, but we
Yeah,
so
what happened? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my bad.
maybe we can pull up the Guardian article. So when if you scroll down a little bit, this will give a context. Giorgio Armani, stunning. There we go. So like a group of activists got in contact with me. They'd seen me perform at Rave Relief, also run by Pete Foley, amazing queer event every year for Pride, and had asked me if I would help them to do this guerrilla protest, which they had been in contact with Fringe or trying to contact Fringe for a year, wanting to talk about the sponsorship of Fringe by Woodside, because a lot of artists weren't happy that effectively their work serves as a billboard for an oil and gas company. And Fringe declined to meet with them, ignored them, and eventually sent them a cease and desist letter.
Really?
So there was a lot of tension there, and just a refusal to come to the table to talk about it, despite there being like 70 plus artists on this thing wanting to have a discussion.
But surely they should push for a move because, like, you know, actually make it happen. 70 people, like.
Well, it did happen in the end, sort of, as I understand.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but we went in. I had a show in the Fringe Festival that year also. So I was invited to the opening ceremony effectively, and we went in full look. And then we just walked up onto the stage and took the mic and made a protest about the sponsorship.
Yeah.
And then we got escorted off stage and like, rah, rah, rah.
Did you get to finish your speech? Or
Yeah, they cut us off the mic. I think I had maybe like 3 paragraphs to say, and they cut us off the mic maybe at the end of the second. And then I was like, I'm a trained actor. I'll just use my performing voice.
I'll just scream
So
at everyone.
Yeah, just did that. Yeah. It was an amazing moment. It was really, really special. And like, it ended up resulting in the sponsorship. Fringe agreed to Fringe came forward and said that they had broken the sponsorship, and then it came out, which was a huge celebration. We were like, that took 2 years, by the way. So it was like 2 years of this happening, and then all this media around it, the Guardian, ABC, radio, everyone it really did spark this conversation, which I was really glad for. But then I sort of watched it die out also, and I thought like,
it's unfortunate with that because it's like the snowball starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it just melts almost.
Yeah, and it felt a bit like that. But then at the end of last year, it came out that Fringe agreed to slowly detransition away from the money.
This
Then it
article
came out
in February 2020.
Yeah, so over 2 years ago now. But then it came out that Woodside were going to be sponsoring Outrage, who are the company that run the Fringe Festival. So they'd done a sneaky name change. But then I think they also got called out for this and agreed to just find money elsewhere.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is like partnering with like oil and gas. It's like after what they're planning on doing with Scarborough, aren't they? They're building a new gas pipeline or something like that just off of Scarborough. And if that goes,
It's called the Scarborough Shoal gas line. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But it's not in Scarborough.
yeah, it's off the coast though, right?
Yeah, it runs from I think it's from the Northern Territory to like, I don't know, Exmouth or somewhere north in WA. So
Yeah, but are they? I thought there was actually something off of Scarborough that they're building.
no, it's called the Scarborough Shoal gas line,
Yeah, okay.
but it's not in Scarborough.
Yeah,
It's it connects like oil producing offshore plants like in WA to the Northern Territory for export to other countries.
yeah, okay then.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I thought they were building something off of somewhere in Scarborough. Like, I mean, yeah, as you said, just the name, but like, I swear they were doing something.
Yeah, I think you've just got it confused because
Probably.
And
Yeah.
an easy association to make.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, it's a bit hard to put a gas pipeline through Scarborough, I think.
Yeah, I wonder why they chose that name.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe to distract people from the issue, Where is it? It's not in Scarborough. Well, I give up.
That's it. Yeah. Because like, it's just at the end of the day, it's like you can protest and protest and protest, but they make so much money doing what they're doing. They don't care. That's what I've found with like Rio Tinto and other companies.
Yeah, there you go. The
Like-
Scarborough gas field is a natural gas field located in the Indian Ocean northwest
there
of
you go.
Exmouth on the coast of Western Australia. So yeah, it's Scarborough Shoal. It's like a part of the ocean where they
But it
have
is-
the offshore mining.
Do they
But
have
it's
an El
just-
Grotto?
Yeah.
But it's just like what I was saying before. It's like, it's so unfortunate because, like, say I found out with Rio Tinto, right, and BHP and all the big mining sites, it's like when their mine site closes, right, instead they can either rehabilitate it, right, or they get a fine, and they just get a fine and pay for it because they make that much money. They're not going to spend money to fix the land that they've fucked up, basically, and it's just not on. Like,
No, it's such a precious ecosystems. Most are. They're fragile.
yeah,
And we like are living in the climate disaster to prove it.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
But they just keep digging up the earth.
yeah. They
do
just keep
have
doing that
to,
thing.
like, there's no getting around it though. Like in the modern era that we're in, we do, like, not for oil and gas and like all carbon,
Yeah,
like,
but iron,
but like
and
lithium,
gold and-
cobalt, like this stuff, and gold, like this is always
Aluminium,
going to be
yeah.
needed.
Well, not if we change the technologies that require them.
Yeah,
Well, how do you propose to build a computer without copper and
Well, I mean,
lithium and all that?
I mean,
kind
a
of stuff?
computer maybe is going to be a tricky one to to
that's
change.
what I'm saying, like, these
But
things-
the scale of it at the moment is like unsustainable.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
and like if
but we live in a throwaway age. That's what just blows me away. Where, I was talking to Katie about this last night, where the new iPhone comes out and there's people lining up out the front with the iPhone that came out last year, but they're waiting a week in advance to get this new phone, even though their phone's already good. It's like, why do
But
we
also,
need
this
new
technology
things?
is built to
not last.
fail after
Yeah.
3 years, 4 years.
That's
It's
exactly
called
it.
planned obsolescence.
It's
Yeah.
mad. Like,
Yeah.
it's...
Same with TVs,
the
5 years,
opposite.
laptops, 5 years.
Yeah.
Fucking cars every 10 years, you want a new car. Like,
I was watching this fascinating thing about who sets the future and how we think about future as a place, but it's a verb. It's something that we're creating actively now. And that in the World's Fair, where they introduced the Eiffel Tower for the first time, General Motors had this exhibition on what the future would look like and made this mini installation that everyone could sort of go into and look at the new world, the 60s. And of course, it featured a number of 8-lane highways. I wonder why General Motors wanted to build 8-lane highways in their vision of the future. And so
That's
then
it.
when we did have 8-lane highways, everyone just accepted this as like progression and
Yeah.
as part of the world we're living in. And it's like, did we need cars?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's just, why can't we all just be like Amsterdam and Holland and stuff like that, where it's like you just get on your push bike and ride.
Well, I think in an Australian context,
it's too big.
It's too big,
Yeah.
and it's also like then you really get at the heart of like colonial structure and presence on this land, and like just there's no. This is what the most heartbreaking thing coming back from Europe is the like lack of attention to architecture that
Yeah.
exists in Australia, because it's really just like which cheap Chinese company can make this building the fastest.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And
it's
it doesn't
also
have any-
like, I did a bit of, my minor in uni was sustainable development. And for a long time now, it's been all about, the urban sprawl, how far out can we build? But like nowadays, we can build buildings with enough green space inbuilt to the buildings that why don't we just build up? Europe got that right.
Yeah.
They've got lots of little towns that are highly built up, and then lots of space in between them. But here in Australia, we've got like 4 or 5 mega cities that 80% of the population live in, and then just nothing for miles.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe we could like invest in like connecting Bunbury to Perth with a high-speed train, and then like having that as a secondary city. And then when that's getting a bit too, big, then maybe we'll work on Exmouth or Carnarvon, or, there's regional centres we can build. Just like you go to England and it's not like, well, London's huge, obviously. But like, then you've got all these other dotted towns around, and it's like 30 minutes to each town. Where in Australia, it's like 3 hours to the next town.
Yeah.
Or 4 hours flight to the next city. You know what I mean? Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should jump back to like Nest FM.
I love it.
Well, art in general is about saying something. Well, not necessarily saying something about political, but it can be used as a very good tool to.
Yeah, that's it.
Make
to have
political
to have
change.
a voice, yeah. No, I 100% agree with that.
And that is about at the soul of Nest also, I guess, was because if you didn't know, like all the queer venues in Perth, being Connie's in the Court, are owned by straight people. So there's this like contention around like, and also I learned that like Perth nightclubs, let's say like this ring of these mega spaces, Magnet House, the Court, Connections, they went through this cycle maybe like 5 years ago, maybe you guys remember it, where like everyone was renovating, and then they would do these renovations and they could get the whole market there for 10 weeks until the next place did the renovation and everyone went to that club to see the renovation.
Yeah.
And then these clubs were left with these huge bills to pay, and the only way that they could afford to pay them back was to like be more lax on the door policy and let people, and without adding any sort of extra safety into the space.
That's it, yeah.
And there was, it's just, it is quite hard, like, to go to some of these clubs as a queer person sometimes, and just, you're like, why don't you feel safe in in this space that's made for you?
Well, it's like what happened with the Court, honestly, because the Court was the Court, just solely the Court, but then they started putting like drum and bass and dubstep events there, and I'm not saying it attracts the wrong crowd, but it's like they'd be during the day and then it'd go back to the Court after like 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or something like that, and then it started causing fights and arguments and all sorts of stuff. Like, majority of the people that go to these events are good, but it's always like everywhere you go there's always going to be hiccups sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
and you only need one or two to really pollute the space and give
That's
like
it.
a bad energy in the room.
yeah, because like talking to some of my girlfriends, right, they all say that the Court's not a gay bar anymore.
No, and they publicly renounced their queer status. They
Yeah.
said that they're going to be an inclusive venue now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I say Nest FM
So
is
they have a
an
giant
exclusive
rainbow
party.
painted over their whole building. Like,
Wait,
Yeah,
what, sorry?
this their mural
Yeah.
with every flag incorporated. Because God, it's a real.
It's just a typical
It's
corporate
a Renaissance
move.
piece, that's for sure.
Yeah, we don't explicitly say that we're a gay venue.
Yeah,
we
despite
just
having the rainbow
market
flag.
ourselves as, yeah.
Yeah.
We just put the colours on and like, market ourselves.
This is
that
so
way.
insulting to my community. You know, like you have literally you're selling us off and not even making sure we're okay. What community are you going to make money off when we're all fucking dead?
I've always felt that like Connie's is more the gay club in Perth.
But it's been around forever as the gay club as well.
Whereas the Court is more like
Just
the
a huge-
beginner like entrance to that kind of scene, because I don't think it exists so much nowadays, but 5 years, 10 years ago, there was a bit of a stigma like, oh, I'm going to a gay event. Do I really want to go to that if I'm straight? Like, I'll feel a bit weird and out of place, and everyone's like...
But then it's now pushing for just anybody and everybody just, you know, just have fun.
Well, the Court is fun. Like, every time you go to the Court, it doesn't matter what's playing on, you're having a good time.
I mean, I think that like worry is kind of important in a way. Like straight people, if they're coming into the space, should feel a bit like it's about consideration, you know, being aware of themselves, what the space they're coming into. Not that they should feel unwelcome, but that just taking a moment. I think it's the same with Burgoyne. Like the reason why that door policy exists is so you can take a moment to check yourself before you like roll in with your vibe.
I do want to stress also that feeling that straight people feel when they come into a gay club of feeling a bit weird. That's exactly how gay people have felt going into a straight club.
And not
for
just a straight
X
club,
amount
but
of years.
anywhere, walking on the street. That's
Well,
how
yeah,
we
exactly.
feel.
Nowadays, it's a bit more normalized, I think. It's become atomized in that, like, a majority, like a large 80-90% of the people either don't care enough or don't see it as affecting them, so it's not their issue, or they support it. And then you've got this other atomized section which are like, they feel like it's taking over their lives and indoctrinating their kids and like...
Yeah, you think that, but you still couldn't. A same-sex couple or a gender non-conforming person walking down the street, showing affection or pulling a look I can guarantee you cannot walk down the street safely, like without receiving some form of verbal or physical abuse.
Yeah,
still.
it's just not on. And see, I was talking about Katie about this as well. It's like, you know, as a girl, if you're a DJ finishing late night and then trying to go back to your car, and then like the dangers of it as well.
She got followed home, didn't she? All the way to her apartment. He was trying to like get into the lobby of the apartment.
And the same thing with if you've heard of Savannah at all, Savannah O'Regan, Swag Lord Savannah.
Okay.
She went and played down in Albany, and some guy followed her to her car. She was with her friend, and then he just stood there and just tried to open the car door, even though it was locked. And they're sitting there live streaming, filming this guy, but it was just kind of like, you're drunk, leave us alone. But it's just like, what is class as safe these days, almost, because it's like that doesn't happen all the time. But when it does happen, it's not on. It's not fair. But it's the education behind it, right? Being able to try and change people's views of just that disgusting behavior, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a lot of homophobia, in my experience, is actually quite closely rooted in misogyny also, because if often, I mean, maybe it's different when there's a demonstration of same-sex affection, but a really, like, the big mask muscle gaze, I would hazard a guess that they don't suffer the same level of abuse on the street as trans women.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really about society's hatred and disrespect for women, and then that transcends across to people who act feminine.
No, I do.
feel like
Yeah.
they're two of the same, actually, in a way.
I do agree. But then it's like, what are the steps that's going to happen to try and rectify and fix this? Like,
Well, it's like as many years as it's taken to make it like this, I guess. And a lot of it's trauma based, you know, like people are either like enacting traumatic behaviors that are intergenerational, or they are just like doing what was done to them at some point.
yeah.
Well, talking about, like, what do we do to change it? Like, recently, Mark McGowan and the state government just announced that they're going to ban people for 5 years for violent and sexual harassment acts in entertainment districts. Did you hear about that?
They're going to ban them.
Yeah. So they're going to bring in a new law that people can get banned from entertainment districts. So Northbridge, Fremantle, Hillary, Scarborough Beach, Fremantle. Did I say Fremantle?
How do you
All the entertainment districts in Perth.
how do you police that, I wonder?
Yeah.
Well, they do it for. They've already got one for like alcoholic. Like if you get too drunk too many times, they can with the liquor laws, they can ban you from entering any licensed premises.
Through
so
the
I'm guessing it's
Scantech
going to
they'll
be through the
use,
sort of
and then-
Scantech. Yeah, basically through Scantech. But there's also like an online register, so
I see.
you can actually just find the names that way.
Yeah.
You know, most clubs you go in, you have to show your ID anyway, right?
True.
So,
But
and
the-
yeah, here's the media statement about it. So it's protected entertainment precincts to be established in Northbridge, Perth, Fremantle, Scarborough, Hillarys and Mandurah. Legislation will ban violent offenders and perpetrators of antisocial behaviour from precincts. Penalties of up to 5 years prison and $12,000 for breaching mandatory exclusions. Consultation underway with the bill set to be introduced in Parliament next month.
Yeah, okay.
So that's something to look out for, because that's Perth specific as well.
I mean,
That's-
it's a positive step. Like, I don't really know, like, how it is different to what, like, most venues will have a ban on someone, you know, that they know causes trouble.
That's
I
exactly
don't
it, yeah.
just sometimes, like, politically, these things are more smoke and mirrors than they are
Yeah.
a practical solve.
Well, it's
you know?
always like it's a kind of like with governance, it's you come up with an idea and you have to obviously balance it with everybody else who's in the parliament, and then it ends up getting watered down, and then they run with it and see if it works in 2 or 3 years. And if it doesn't work, then we all just complain about it and they change it. That's just the way it works, right?
So a little step in the right
But
direction.
it's not. It's something that tells me that they're focusing on that kind of thing. So
Yeah, because we were talking about this last night as well. It's like Northbridge is such a dangerous place these days. And it's like so many places have closed. Like there was that Italian restaurant that'd been there for like 40 or 60 years or something like that. But it's because they had so many fights and all sorts of stuff that it's just like it became, no one wanted to go there because it just wasn't safe to eat out the front on the like the actual like the little beer garden, not beer garden, like the little at the front
yeah,
dinner area, like al fresco area basically. Yeah.
I think also calling out bad behavior, just generally.
Yeah, 100%.
I think a lot of people, like I saw a post about a week ago. I can't remember the girl who posted it, but she was complaining about being harassed and touched inappropriately when she didn't give permission and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she was too afraid to name the person or name the venue because she approached security and security did nothing.
Yeah.
So she felt that she couldn't say that because it would bring unwanted attention to her. But I think that she should.
Yeah. 100%,
I think if
yeah.
someone touches you inappropriately, you have all the right in the world to name and shame them,
Yep.
right?
I do agree as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of it as well will really like be whether a lot of these attitudes, especially towards women, feminine presenting people, are like created and brewed in spaces where there's men talking, just men together. You know, like that locker room conversation. I think like I've heard it, like the things men say about women when they're not around is like foul and gross. And it's going to take like that calling out to happen there, because men will like say, oh yeah, we hear you, you know, or we understand your perspective or whatever, just to appease the situation. But like deep down, until they're like friends humiliate them out of it, then maybe we'll see a
That's
cultural
it.
shift.
And
then-
that is the nice way of doing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame.
but that's it. It's a cultural shift, and it's like it's moving in the right direction, but it's taking its time. And unfortunately, like, you know, the way Australia is in a way, we've got 5 minutes left. Oh, damn.
Brazen.
Yeah. But it's like the way, just quickly, it's like the way Australia is, like, you know, they had the One Nation party with Pauline Hanson. They had something over in Adelaide or something like that, and people that were rocking up, it's like they had their swastikas tattooed on the side of their head and stuff like that. And it's like they're stuck in their old
Yeah.
ways. But
That's
it's
what
just,
Fran Lebowitz talks about, this being also the danger of the internet, is that we as a society actually moved through a lot of really bad ideas, fascism being one of them, and now the internet can give information to people with no context. So they just think that like their like racist, bigoted ideas are new or somehow revolutionary, even though society has overcome them already, but they didn't learn history and they don't have any like links, but they've just got the information. So
That's exactly
it can
it.
be a dangerous tool for the spread of bad ideas.
I also think that social media and the way the internet is now, it puts everybody's speech on an even level. You know, back in the day, you'd have the newspaper and the TV, and it was heavily like there was a certain
Influenced,
group
yeah.
of people that could make that media, and only certain people could access that media. But nowadays, with the internet, anyone can write an article. Doesn't matter if they know what they're talking about or not.
Yep.
And anyone who reads that just is automatically thinks, oh, this is an article online. It must be written by some journalist or something. It must be true.
Well, that's what they say. It's something like 3 out of 4 articles are fake.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than that.
Yeah, and the ones that are the popular ones are the ones pushing the fake narrative, you know, the fictional narrative, basically.
Well, that's what I mean by atomized. So instead of having a whole spectrum of different opinions, it's become, you know, the two polar opposite ends of the spectrum. And there's nothing in between anymore.
Yeah.
And so all you're getting fed is this extremely left-wing stuff or this extremely right-wing stuff. And people who are in the middle have been driven to one side or the other because they're so sick of hearing this side or this side rather than having a selection of everything.
Yeah.
Which is what we used to have because it was, I mean, the media is the media, but at least they balance their takes, most of them. Unless you're like Fox News in America or something.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, do you want to...
Yeah, I was going to say, so like, where can people find you and like, you know, when's
us
the next
what's coming
event
up.
coming up and what's happening and...
we'll chuck us a follow on Instagram. This is, I guess, where we're like mostly gravitating around at the moment. I'm like I'm in a process of like wanting to challenge social media. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be like some
Hell yeah, can't
secret
wait.
groups happening, some Telegram moments or something like this in the future. But for now, this is where we're at. And yeah, come down to the Bird this Saturday from 4 p.m. markets. We're also going to be at Weekend at Bernie's Festival for anyone going to that. We've got our own night on the Saturday, and we've got an amazing Halloween party coming up in collab with Hyde Park Hi-Fi.
Really?
As well. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
an
that's the
exciting
thing.
month.
It's like you get back from Berlin, it's just like
straight
event
into
after
it.
event after event. But it's good. Like I was saying before, you've done like 20 events.
Yeah.
But like the growth.
Well, there's a
and, like,
hunger for it, I think. You know, we're talking about the Court and the Connies. Like, everyone would say, like, someone needs to start their own gay club. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, maybe I will.
That's helping my hand up.
Yeah, we can start with a live stream radio dance party at the Bird. See
What about
where we
your
get from there.
drag persona Australia? Is there anything coming up for...
She is going to be weaved into the Nest narrative. I'm going to use her to host at Weekend at Bernie's,
Oh, yeah.
and also on Halloween. Also, yeah.
How long did it take you to grow your beard as well, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I'm maybe like 2 or 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it goes
Oh, okay.
super quick.
Yeah,
It's
that's
annoying.
alright.
If
You
anything, that's a
are-
drag queen. It's okay, not helpful actually.
You're such a pasty white boy with fluff on your chin.
Yeah, I
like-
know, right? Yeah, can't grow
My,
anything.
my beard grows in 2 weeks as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm just
Shit.
the odd one out.
You just got to shave. The more you shave, the quicker it grows back.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for years.
It's
that's-
just not possible for you, Alex.
But then, so like after, like, would you have a period of time where you just won't, like, you just shave and shave and shave, or like,
For drag,
yeah, for drag. But then, like,
I have to I have to shave on the night that I will perform, and the next day I'll have a 4 o'clock shadow.
really,
Yeah,
no shit.
yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
I serve meatloaf.
What are you, a 16-year-old boy, Alex? Like,
oh fuck. Oh no.
Hey, all bodies are different. All bodies are beautiful.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, though.
Thanks for having
This
me.
has been good. And like I said, like, you know, you got to come back on and we'll do a panel. And then that way we can get really into the nitty gritty stuff. Like,
Yes,
like get some
sounds
proper
good.
discussions going.
Yes,
so.
love a yarn. Always up for a yarn.
And honestly, thank you as well so much for coming on for the end of season 2.
Pleasure.
It's I can't believe it. You know, last time you rocked up, you arrived here, and then I was like, the computer's not working. I'm so sorry. Like,
Wasn't meant to be.
No, but look at this though. Like shirt swapping, doing this,
Oh, what?
doing that. Yeah, but no.
oh, don't let it drop. It was supposed to be subtle.
Yeah, subtle. Yeah.
Oh well, they'll have to watch till the end. To get the,
Like, I'm gonna
what's going on.
rewatch this and be like, oh my god, that's what I look like in the dress.
All right, guys, give us a wave to the camera.
All right, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks because we're redesigning, moving house, and we've got Podcast Studio 3.0 coming up.
Yeah, and
So-
season 3 will start. Then.
And just this is something I want to start doing now as well. Since we are live, would you like to sign the board whilst we're live, and
Would love to.
we'll film you
Yes.
signing the board?
Get me on. Have a texture of
Katie came up with this idea yesterday. She just did it, and I was like, "All right, well, this is what we're doing now."
Signing the board?
Yep. So
like maybe some people did it before her. Or
yeah, so usually they'd sign at the end of the episode,
see.
like that after we've finished. But I'm thinking like it's so much better if we do it live. And then could you also write Nest FM as well, if that's all right? Yeah, sweet. And so episode 136.
He's running out of space.
Yeah.
Let's start here.
Yeah.
I'll do a little bit of these ones.
And the date.
So episode 136.
Yep.
Do you want to like this?
Yep.
And the date is
Mitch, what is the date?
Oh God.
Oh, it's on the bottom of the
the
computer.
29th of the 9th.
sick.
Sick.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, though. Honestly, it's been great having you on. And then, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
With a new studio. So,
Yes. Good luck.
All right. Catch you guys.